Good morning, fancy meat computers. How is everybody doing today? I hope everybody's doing okay. Um, I hope everybody is healthy and well, unlike what's going on at my house right at the moment. Um, by all rights, it doesn't seem to be a bad cold. It seems like everybody's kind of shrugging it off at this point, but which is good because we've got a newborn in the house, and colds and newborns are generally not a very, like, it's the type of thing that provokes the anxiety of the parent, shall we say. But it's Dee Dee is of course back to her birth, like she's gained back her birth weight now, and she's that was a few, like last week she gained her birth weight back. And like, I don't know how much you guys know about newborns, but like they're especially vulnerable, like in the phase where they're losing weight. Like, for about the first 3 days, 3 or 4 days, depending on things, after a child is born, they lose weight, and then they gain the weight back again once their stomach gets large enough. Like a baby who's only like when a baby is born, the size of the stomach is like very, very small. I think it's like the size of a thimble or something like that, which is why they need to be fed so constantly. But like over the like first week of life, I believe, if I'm getting it the sizes right, the stomach expands to the size of a walnut or something like that. And like once the stomach has expanded to the point where it can hold more food, um, the kid stops losing weight and starts gaining weight. And then that's, once you're to that point, um, you know, once the kids gained back their birth weight, that's like the general line for like, okay, good, this kid is on the right track, you know. So yeah, I'm not particularly worried because she's a very robust child, and fortunately, some of my wife's aunt, who has a home in Florida, um, recently returned from a trip to the States and brought back with her at our request a small supply of infant Tylenol, which is difficult to come by these days, but apparently they still have plenty of it in the States, so we're equipped. But anyway, how are you? How are you guys doing? Sorry to, like, tease you by having, like, the one lecture in person and then straight back online, but, you know, it's... it is what it is. We're supposed to try to keep the colds and the flus and the other respiratory infections under control, apparently. So, yeah. It is cold today. There's, like, snow on the ground. Yeah. It's, yep. First snowfall of the season. Yeah. Healthy and not sick. Awesome. Yeah, okay, so, if I may offer some unsolicited advice to, anybody... oh boy, do I love not being sick. I know, it's great, right? Really, if you have your health, then everything else you can manage, you know? Health is, like, so important. Here's a quick piece of unsolicited advice to people who may not be used to the idea of a Canadian winter. Like, I imagine there are probably some people listening in right now who, you know, like, this might be the first snowfall you've ever seen if you're, you know, from a more tropical part of the world and you don't normally get snow. You know, sometimes even the tropics will get snow, but it's quite rare, you know. Rare enough to not have occurred in the lifespan of a teenager, you know, or a late teenager. So here's some unsolicited advice if you have never had to face a Canadian winter before. Number one, get yourself a good pair of boots, right? You can actually get boots that are rated to like -30 or -40. Nice, big, good boots. Get good boots. Good boots with a good, like, thick tread on the bottom, because part of it is also slipping on ice. You know, you want something that looks like it'll grip the ground for you. First snow kind of pog. Yep. Yeah, it's cool, right? It's cool. The other thing is get yourself a good winter jacket. Because, like, if you're from the tropics or related regions, like, a lot of people come to Canada having no real concept of how cold it can get. Like, you want to be fully equipped. You want to basically be able to go outside with not one piece, not like maybe 5 or 6 square inches of your face exposed, just, you know, around the eyes and maybe the nose, right? And you want to get, like, it can get really cold here in winter. Sometimes it gets down to, you know, -20. On rare occasions, it'll get down to -30. And they don't cancel classes if it gets cold. So, yeah. So, yeah, get yourself equipped. If you're not already equipped, get yourself equipped. And also, like, if the snow gets deep enough, go play in it. One of the beauty and one of the pieces of joy of living in a damn cold country is that you get to play with the snow. So go play with the snow. It's fun. Go make a snowman. At least we're not in Quebec City. Yes. Good Lord, yes. It's actually kind of interesting. Hamilton and the Niagara region are a kind of an interesting subclimate inside of Ontario. Um, Locals refer to this area as the Banana Belt. Um, Despite the fact that it's ridiculous to imagine growing bananas here. Yeah, COMPSCI snowman making contest. Yes. I will judge. Send me pictures. Um, so, for whatever reason, like the proximity to the lake plus the like overhang of the escarpment makes the lower city of Hamilton and other places below the escarpment all the way down to the Niagara region like like a few degrees warmer than everywhere else, which like is just enough to make this like the only place in Ontario where it's really viable to grow like fruit trees and peaches and cherries and grapes and all of like this is a fruit region, right? And it's because it's got a slightly warmer microclimate. But like holy hell, man, Ottawa is like if you go up north, it gets cold, man, like really cold. Yeah. Do you want to build a snowman? No. Nope. 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 No references to Frozen. Thank you. Jeez. Ugh. Listen. You gotta stop letting. You gotta stop letting Disney live rent free in your brain, man. Okay. All right. Anyway. So we should talk about the stuff and stuff. So, files then. So we're kind of it's kind of interesting. Even like 3 years ago, says the person with the lightsaber. Hey, listen. It wasn't originally Disney, okay? And that was a gift. That was a gift. Man, I kind of hate I hate Star Wars now. Ever since Disney took it over, like I'm one of those like exceptional people who actually found the prequel trilogy interesting and in its entirety. But anyway, original trilogy is where it's at, though. But anyway, enough about that. We're going to talk about files. So it's interesting. It's interesting to me as a computer scientist. Will I get a new lightsaber because class hasn't been the same since? Yeah, I know. If I had like an afternoon to be able to fix the damn thing, you know? Oh my gosh. Yeah. Nope, I'm sorry. Anything Disney touches is ruined. Sorry. I cannot I cannot even like Rogue One despite the fact that some people seemed to like it. It's like how I'm absolutely refusing to watch the new Lord of the Rings thing that Amazon is doing. Not even once, not even to hate watch it. Sorry, but no. Tolkien would be rolling in his grave. That's all I'm going to say. So anyway, I did light the Star Wars fuse in the chat. Of course, you've also got lightsabers as your avatar, so. So. Files, then. Yeah, okay, good. I see some correct opinions in the chat now. So file systems, right? It's very, very interesting to me to watch the slow, gradual slide down into the abyss with respect to technical skills that I have been seeing from people entering the program. People who you would think would be more technically oriented because they're entering a STEM field. You'd think these people would know something about computers, especially if they wanted to major, in computers. But it seems like people can now like reach adulthood without having ever interacted with a file system, which is like bizarre to me. It's absolutely like wickedly, amazingly bizarre to me that people like 5 years ago, knowing how to operate a file system was like that was like a class that you would give 65-year-olds, right? Like it's like, oh, okay, Grandma, we're gonna give you some very, very, very basic computer skills. This is what a file is. This is how you open it. You know, it seems like a lot of people these days have like little concept of what a file system is, and this is why, right? It's these bloody things, right? Inside of the, like, most people, it seems, spend most of their time interacting with computers, interacting through these bloody things, right? And as a consequence, they have no idea what a file system is because these things hide from you what a file system is most of the time. It's like one of the details that's considered superfluous and not necessary for the user to know, right? So we gotta educate you, all right? So what is a file, right? If you recall, way back when we were talking about memory, way back at the beginning of the class, I said that there were mainly 3 groups of memory, right? Number 1, you have the CPU inbuilt register memory. That's fastest. Number 2, you've got RAM, which is your working memory for programs that are currently running. And then you've got your ROM, read-only memory. This is your permanent system storage, right? Interacting with your file system is interacting with permanent storage. The file system itself is designed to allow more easy access to your permanent storage, right? To the ROM. Good. So, in order to, write to files, read from files, we can do this with programs, right? We can do this with programs that we write. We have the power. Over the course of this series of lectures, we're going to learn how to use Python to read files from your file system. All right? I hope you guys in the chat are paying attention. Eh? Yeah. So, good. Oh, yeah, I'm going to skip input and print because that's just insulting at this point. So, let's talk about files. The basic procedure is this. Number 1, you open the file for reading or writing using a function. It calls a system function, right? That returns what's called a file handle. The file handle object is necessary to perform any operation that actually performs the interaction with data stored on the hard drive. We can only open files exclusively for reading or exclusively for writing at one time. We can't read and write to the same file at the same time. Read or write one or more lines to the file, referring to its file handle, and then we close the file. So, in summary, we open the file, we do stuff with the file, then we close the file handle. All right? The operating system will lock other people out of modifying files which you currently have open for modification as well. So, here's how we do it. Straight to the beef, straight to the meat of the issue. Let me just... So, up to which slides deck do we have to prepare for midterm 3? Ask me later. I'll get back to you on that. So, the wonderful thing about file I/O is that you can open any file that you want. So, if we take a look at the files in my directory, I might be able to open, for example, topic1.py, if y'all remember that. Then, we dump the contents of this file into a string in Python using filehandle.read, and then at the end we say filehandle.close because we're finished reading the file. Then we can print the string that we have retrieved. Python 3 topic 9.py. And you can see that the contents of that first topic example file that we had have been copied here. So because we've now translated this data into a string in Python, we can do anything we want with it, right? We can use the complete expressive power of the programming language to apply transformations to the file. So let's say, for example, I wanted to like capitalize everything in the file, just for the sake of argument. s.toUpper, I think, is the method there. Run that again. Doesn't work. Maybe it's... I always forget if it's like that, maybe. What is R here? Good question. So the second argument of open is it's a string with characters depending on what mode you want to open it in. So this specifies mode, right? R is read mode. W is write mode. Those are the only two modes you have to worry about in this class. You may see append mode some other places, but read mode and write mode are what you need to know here. All right? So let me just quickly... Oh, it's just like that, I guess. Oh, it returns the string. So s is equal to s.upper. There we go. And there you go. Everything that was lowercase is now uppercase. So the program is now shouting at you. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. So that's correct. So that's kind of the point, is that once it's a string, you can do stuff with it in a programming sense. So here's your basic list of functions which are used for reading from files. So you have the open method, and the open method is used each time you open a file. Opens file name and returns a file object file handle. Mode specifies the mode of operation. R for reading, W for writing, A for appending. So what appending is, if this were the file I was reading, it would just add stuff to the end. That's what append means. So, there you go. So fh.read reads the entire file into memory and returns it as a string. If you would prefer to read things line by line, then read line will read only one line out of the file. Reads the next line to memory and returns it as a string. The string includes the new line character. If the end of the file is reached, an empty string is returned. So this will differ depending on what programming language you're in. But for example, if you wanted to store it in, let's say, list contents is equal to empty list, while let's say line is equal to fh.readLine, while line is not while not line is equal to empty string, contents.append line. There we go. Print contents. I've got an infinite loop because I forgot to put this line in there too. There we go. So you can see that's the same file contents, but instead of printing it as a string, which is lovely and nice, we've got it as a series of strings inside of a list with the new line and all of the new line and all of the tab characters in their correct positions. Right? So, you know, here's a possible application for you. One thing that compilers sometimes get cranky about is whether you're using tabs or spaces. So using this, it's very, very simple to write a quick find and replace algorithm to take all of the tabs out and put the correct number of spaces in. You can use the controversial Python syntax as well, while line is equal to, or while line is assigned to fh.readLine. I mean, yeah, you could do that. But I feel like I'm just going to confuse people, you know? Like, I understand that Python is capable of more than I show people, you know? Like, Python is a language that loves to do these little, you know, these little abbreviations. I will often leave them out because, like, in the context of a lecture, I'm trying to, like, express the programming language in I'm trying to express the programs in terms of more basic constructs, so that, you know, so that I'm building on the material that we've already covered in class, rather than, like, throwing a bunch of, you know, arcane mystica at people all the time. It's like, wow, okay, he's trying to make the class less hard. What? By explaining things more basically? Yes. Yes, I could be explaining things a lot less basically than I do. But, yeah, anyway. Can we code it as while line not equals? Yeah, you could do that as well. That works as well. Same difference. Same difference. So, just a comment for people who are more advanced. Yeah, I'm not saying don't bring stuff like that up. Yeah, certainly not. I'm not saying don't bring stuff like that up, especially in the context of a chat. I just, sometimes people will think that whatever I put on the board is going to be on the test, sort of thing. But anyway. So after this diatribe about talking about how I try to avoid the use of Python abbreviations for things, does the next midterm include file question? Again, ask me later. Ask me later. Here actually is a Python abbreviation for all of this. So with our traditional way of performing file I/O, which incidentally is the same way that you would perform it, roughly speaking, in a language like C or C++ or Java or any of these types of languages, Python includes with syntax. Could I explain what readline does again? Readline reads each line individually from the file. So, for example, if this is the file that we're reading, readline first reads this one, then it returns this one, then it returns this one, then it returns this one. It just goes through line by line rather than dumping the whole thing at once. So, one might note that it's sometimes tricky to remember to close file streams. Like, it looks like I've already somehow lost. I was almost certain that I had fh.close in here somewhere, but I've already lost it. See? fh.close. There we go. So, because this is a thing which is commonly forgotten, or I suppose it should go down here, shouldn't it? Python provides a way of not having to remember to do it. We bind a local variable, right? Or we, this is like a, yeah, it's a, this is called a binding. So with this guy, the results of this as file handle, and then we can perform all of the operations we wish inside of a code block. So everything inside here needs to be indented. You don't need to remember to close the file because the with block will automatically close the file handle when you exit this code block. So there you go. So midterm 3 won't be canceled next week. This week I received instruction from my supervisor that I am not to talk to the students about what will or will not be canceled or modified or in any way changed if the strike happens next week. So I'm not gonna, we'll worry about the test next week when we know whether the TAs are going to be on strike or not. Okay? But I'll tell you that if the TAs go on strike, I have no one to invigilate the test. So take from that what you will. I'm not going to make any definite statements right now. So, so this is good. So we can use the with statement to not have to remember to close the file, which is fine. An example reading line by line, which I'm actually already doing. In this case, they're just printing everything as they come up, rather they're printing each line as it comes up rather than storing it somewhere else and then printing that. That's fine. So when you're reading line by line, each line will include the end of line character new line. It can be removed using the rstrip method. Line is equal to line.rstrip. That's right strip, so strip one element off the right. But yeah. Ooh, I missed a question. Does it work like while loop each line? No, you have to put it inside of a loop, right? So when you're reading line by line, this command itself only reads one line, so you have to repeat it to get all of the lines. So you put it inside of a while loop. Because the term, like when read line is finished, it'll return an empty string, so you just wait until you get an empty string. There is a massive TA/grad/instructor strike going on in the United States in 10 universities. Is this an indicator of sorts? No comment. No comment. Cool. So, is this how f.readlines works? Did we cover read lines? Is read lines a thing? Possibly reading. Let's see. Let's look up the Python documentation. Python 3, help, read lines. Will this work? Nope. Yeah. I think it probably does read and then splits on new line characters. Yeah, that would make sense. Let's just quickly look this up. The read lines method returns a list containing each line in a file as a list item. So it, yeah, okay, so read lines does precisely what the program I wrote does. There you go. So you don't even have to go to that extent. You can just drop all of this stuff and say read lines, and there you go. That works too. Very good. So let's talk about exceptions. If you try to open a file that doesn't exist, you'll get an error. So open obvious nonsense dot xtx in read mode. If you try to open a file that doesn't exist, file not found error. Right? This is an exception. So we can handle that exception using our try except blocks. Make sense? Just a heads up for the people who are paying attention. A thing that I will often, like, a little sub thing that I'll often test, that often gets thrown into tests and such things. Often when you're doing a file I/O question on an assignment or a test or something like that, the file name that we expect you to process will be an input parameter to the function you're writing. This is so that we can change that file name and, give you different input files which constitute different test cases, right? One of the things we like to do is to give you a file name that is incorrect insofar as it lacks the correct file extension. We'll ask you to, if the file fails to open, put this file extension on it and then see if it works. And if it still doesn't work, then let it go. What if you're trying to call the Python file that you are typing the call in? I think it would work. I'm so meta, even this acronym. Oh, that wouldn't work because I'm... Yeah. I got it. There we go. Yep, it works. You can read a file, you can read a Python script from within the same Python script. Absolutely. Boom. Heads up, files are case sensitive on Linux most servers, but not on Windows. So your applications could work on your computer, but not the autograder. Well, that would be a possible thing if you're using a local Jupyter installation, yeah. The prudent thing to do is to make sure that it works on the Jupyter server as well before you submit it. In general, I don't think that it should be too much of an issue, though, because, like, you will be given the file names. Like, there's no call for you to modify the file names. So in theory, there should be no direct manipulation of them whatsoever. So the whole issue of, like, them being upper or lowercase or case sensitive shouldn't be a problem. But we'll burn that bridge when we come to it, I guess. Do we need to put the file into the same directory? Haha! So there's a question. So yes. Okay, so quick little more education on file systems, right? So I'll talk about Linux because things basically work the same way no matter where you are. So if I have a terminal session running, then I've got active in this terminal session what's called the current working directory, right? You can view the current working directory using the pwd print working directory command in Linux. There are probably equivalent ones in DOS. So right now I'm in home Nick teaching 1MD3 fall 2022 code. When you ask for, when you specify a file, right? A file name. If you just put the file name, then this is assumed relative to the current working directory. So if I want to access other directories, maybe back up 2 levels, then go into fall 2021, into examples, and then I want to read sample.csv, for example, I would say up one directory, right? Then fall 2021 slash examples slash sample.csv. So this is still relative to this current working directory, right? And if I do this, you can see that I've got a bunch of different, you know, I've got some information that's in that file, and I can navigate the file system in this manner. In PowerShell, most common Unix commands are aliases for the Windows equivalent. Well, there you go. So this is different from what's called absolute addressing. So under absolute addressing in Linux, the way that it works is you start with the slash, which indicates the root directory, and then you type in the complete path from root all the way to the file that you want to access. That's your alternative. Oh, code. That's not a. That's a directory. Yeah, is a directory is a different type of error. So slash python topic 2.py. There we go. Is there no topic 2.py? Let me see here. There is no topic 2.py. There you go. Pardon me. How about topic 3? Oh, that's because topic 2 is mostly in terminal. There you go. Topic 3.py. So this is absolute addressing, and you can also do relative addressing. All right? Opening files, you can use either approach. Generally speaking, most of the time you'll be using relative addressing. It's a lot more, like if you're writing a program, relative addressing is much, much more portable and stable. To use absolute addressing is to depend on the structure of your file system. For example, under Linux, of course, my username is Nick on this computer, so my home directory is called Nick. So unless whoever's using the program expects it to be running specifically on my computer, this is not going to be a detail that transfers to anybody else's computer. So using absolute addressing will break things if you try running it, like if you try to send your code to any system other than your own. So not to mention the code itself may reveal details about the way that your operating system is constructed that you don't want found out. So there you go. Make sense? Hopefully. Okay. So I'm not going to get into writing today, so if you have any further questions, please put them in the chat now. I'm just going to I'll be right back. I'll be back very brief. I'll be back very shortly to answer your questions. Okay? What is my favorite Star Wars film? The Christmas special, obviously. It's between A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. I'm gonna have to give it to The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. Like, A New Hope is just classic, right? It's just classic. But Empire Strikes Back is like A New Hope had to do like it's kind of like I kind of think there's this like universal law of there's this universal law of like series of things. I think it applies to movies and video games. Normally the second one is best. My favorite Star Wars is Star Trek. Whap whap. So the one exception is the Zelda series. But like if you consider like Super Mario Brothers, right? Super Mario 1, very good game. Super Mario Brothers 3, which is actually Super Mario Brothers 2 because Lost Levels doesn't count, it's a level pack, and Super Mario Brothers 2 doesn't count either because it was, not even a Mario game. Not originally. Super Mario Brothers 3 was actually the original, like I would say it's properly considered the second Super Mario Brothers game, and overwhelmingly the superior Mario game of all time. Mass Effect, the second one, was the best game. Yeah, it's like Donkey can eat my shorts. I'm not saying Super Mario Brothers 2 isn't good. It's a good game. It's just not a Mario game, not originally, and it doesn't count in this thing I'm doing. Speaking of the original films, fans are remastering original film reels in order to get the original theatrical cuts of the films, how they were meant to be seen. Ooh, that sounds good. I like that. I like that idea. Quake 1 is better than Quake 2. Well, I mean, that's the exception that proves the rule, isn't it? I don't know. Maybe we twist ourselves in some knots and consider Quake 1 to be like Doom 2 or something, and therefore the law still holds. But like here's the thing, right? The first film just had like the first film or video game has so much to just establish that it doesn't have the time, or it doesn't have the ability to really expand on it, like to provide the full-bodied experience. It's just the introduction to it. The second one is like the people, like the original people are still working on it. It expands the whole mythos, it expands the world building, and then by the time the third one comes along, like it's been financially successful, so all of the business lizards are getting their talons into it, and like it's just being run right into the ground. And like the third thing in any trilogy is always the worst. That's my view. But anyway. Also, fan remaster means no extra CGI and dance sequences. Look, yeah, Return of the Jedi. Yeah, that's that funny dance sequence. Ugh. Just makes me uncomfortable. But yeah, like before like the digital remaster, I'm pretty sure that like Jabba the Hutt was a fat guy in furs. But original Jabba the Hutt in New Hope. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Jabba the Hutt was originally this guy, and he subsequently got turned into a big slug monster. They decided that he should be a big slug monster for movie 3, and then they like retconned fat furry Jabba. So there you go. Fun little Star Wars fact for you. The second installment of Chibi Robo is arguably worse than the original on GameCube. Well, the problem that you have there is that the GameCube is the superior game system of all time, so nothing that's not on the GameCube could ever be better than a GameCube game. So that's how that works. What about Lord of the Rings? Yeah, I'd say The Two Towers is the best one. I think that's a fair. I think that's a fair. I'd say that's fair. I think Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes was better than the original. There you go. The best 3D Mario game is Galaxy, which is the third 3D Mario game. Oh, nope. Gotta throw some shade right there. Nah, Sunshine was better than Galaxy. I'm sorry if that ruffles some feathers, but nah. Again, it's the iron law of GameCube games being superior to every other game. Galaxy was like there's no bad mainline Mario game, but Galaxy was a bit juvenile. You know, like it was dumbed down too far. Like if you take Sunshine, right? Like your skill cap in Sunshine is so amazingly high. Like it's like the tricks you can pull off in Sunshine are just astonishing. It's like I know a lot of people dislike Sunshine because it's hard, right? But like I guess you just got to get good, cuz like what is the essence of a Mario game? It's Mario running around. The more free your movements are, and the higher the skill cap is on Mario, the more fun the game is. And Sunshine has the highest skill cap, and therefore is the most fun Mario game. I don't care. By the way, the best Lord of the Rings is Return of the King. Agree to disagree. Anyway, I'm gonna log off here. Take her easy, folks. I'll see you. Yeah, in the next one. Yeah, I already made the announcement about not having class Friday. So, okay, good. Yep. GameCube is also why Twin Snakes is better. Yes, obviously. Yes. Bye-bye.